From elegant racing-inspired reconnaissance aircraft to massive four-engined flying boats, Italy fielded one of the world's most diverse seaplane forces during World War II. Today, we're exploring every major Italian seaplane used during the Second World War. And we begin with the aircraft that became the eyes of the Regia Marina, fleet reconnaissance floatplanes. IMAM Ro.43. No Italian floatplane was more closely associated with the Regia Marina than the IMAM Ro.43. Introduced in the mid-1930s, this single-engined biplane served aboard nearly every major Italian cruiser and battleship. Launched by catapult, the Ro.43 conducted long-range reconnaissance, artillery spotting, convoy patrols, and anti-submarine searches. Although agile for a floatplane, its slow speed and fixed floats made recovery difficult in rough seas. Even so, it remained Italy's standard shipborne reconnaissance aircraft throughout most of the war. Yet the Ro.43 wasn't the only aircraft launched from Italian warships. IMAM Ro.44. Developed directly from the Ro.43, the IMAM Ro.44 was intended as a floatplane fighter. Instead of carrying an observer, the second cockpit was removed to improve performance. Despite its maneuverability, the additional drag created by its floats prevented it from competing with land-based fighters. Only limited numbers entered service before the concept was abandoned. Italy soon realized that true floatplane fighters had little future. The flying boats of the Mediterranean. CANT Z501 Gabbiano. The graceful CANT Z501 became one of Italy's primary maritime patrol flying boats. Designed for exceptional endurance, it spent countless hours searching for enemy convoys across the Mediterranean. The aircraft also performed search and rescue missions, often recovering crews from ships and aircraft lost at sea. Despite its impressive range, the Z501's modest speed left it increasingly vulnerable to Allied fighters. As the war intensified, Italy required something more capable. CANT Z506 Airone. Perhaps the finest Italian flying boat of the war was the CANT Z506 Airone. Built largely from wood, the elegant tri-motor combined excellent seaworthiness with remarkable range. The Airone performed nearly every maritime mission imaginable: long-range reconnaissance, anti-submarine patrol, maritime bombing, medical evacuation, transport, and air-sea rescue. Its versatility earned respect from both Axis and Allied crews, with rescue variants sometimes spared from attack because of their humanitarian role. Few aircraft better represented Italy's maritime aviation. Fiat RS.14. The Fiat RS.14 represented Italy's attempt to replace older flying boats with modern twin-engined floatplane. Featuring excellent speed and handling, it conducted reconnaissance and anti-submarine patrols throughout the Mediterranean. Although pilots praised its flying characteristics, production remained relatively limited due to Italy's growing industrial difficulties. Coastal patrol and maritime strike aircraft. CANT Z511. The enormous CANT Z511 was Italy's largest flying boat. Originally designed for transatlantic airline service, wartime plans proposed converting it into an ultra-long-range maritime strike aircraft. Some concepts even envisioned attacks against Allied ports thousands of kilometers away. However, the aircraft never entered operational combat before Italy's surrender. Nevertheless, it remains one of the most ambitious flying boat projects of the Second World War. Macchi M.18.
Although developed years before the war, several surviving Macchi M.18 flying boats continued serving in secondary transport and training roles during the early years of WWII. These aging aircraft reflected Italy's frequent reliance on older designs as newer production struggled to meet demand. Savoia-Marchetti S.62. Another veteran flying boat inherited from the interwar period was the Savoia-Marchetti S.62. Originally designed during the late 1920s, it continued serving in training and coastal duties until more modern aircraft gradually replaced it. Training, utility, and liaison seaplanes. Macchi M.41. The Macchi M.41 remained an important advanced trainer for Italy's naval aviation schools. Student pilots learned water takeoffs, navigation, and maritime flying techniques aboard these dependable floatplanes. Macchi M.7. One of Italy's oldest surviving military seaplanes, the Macchi M.7 continued serving as a basic trainer despite first flying shortly after World War I. Its longevity demonstrated the remarkable durability of Italy's early flying boat designs. CANT Z508. The CANT Z508 was a luxurious flying boat airliner before the war. After hostilities began, surviving aircraft were impressed into military transport service. Although only a few existed, they transported personnel and high-priority cargo across the Mediterranean. Piaggio P136, prototype. Near the end of the war, Italian engineers continued experimenting with improved amphibious aircraft. Among these projects was the Piaggio P136 concept, representing the continuing evolution of Italian seaplane design, despite the country's collapsing wartime industry. Although it never served operationally during WWII, it reflected Italy's enduring expertise in maritime aviation. The legacy of Italian naval aviation. Throughout the war, Italy's seaplanes operated from battleships, cruisers, island bases, sheltered harbors, and remote anchorages scattered across the Mediterranean. They spotted enemy fleets, escorted convoys, rescued survivors, bombed shipping, tracked submarines, and connected isolated garrisons across North Africa, the Aegean, and the Adriatic. Yet increasing Allied air superiority gradually pushed these vulnerable aircraft from the skies. By 1943, many surviving seaplanes had been destroyed, captured, or grounded by fuel shortages and the collapse of the Italian war effort. Italy entered World War II with one of the world's most experienced naval aviation forces. Its seaplanes reflected decades of innovation in flying boat design and maritime operations, from the ship-launched IMAM Ro.43 to the elegant CANT Z506 Airone and the long-range CANT Z507. These aircraft became the eyes of the Regia Marina across the Mediterranean. Although overshadowed today by fighters and bombers, Italian seaplanes performed some of the war's most demanding missions, often alone, hundreds of miles from land, searching an endless sea for friend and foe alike. Next time, every Italian transport aircraft used in WWII explained.